Welcome to Boulevard TV today. I'm sitting here in Kelowna with Jay Blackford from Stillhaven Realty. Jay, thank you for inviting me into your home.
You're welcome.
What a view you got yourself into here.
Yeah, I don't know if the cameras are going to pick up everything behind us, but
well, we're gonna show what you're looking at. Like this is probably one of the reasons you love living in Kelowna.
it absolutely is. And when I was choosing a home, I was like, okay, if I can take this lake and make this part of my daily life, I'm in. I lived on the prairies for many years.
Right? I know. So that's whereabouts in the prairies?
Well, I was raised in Edmonton, and then I spent some time in Calgary. So I have my winter cold license.
You're done with that.
Yeah, I've done that.
Although we have that here too. Still, like there's a lot of snow still coming, but not with this view.
You say that to a prairie person, you say, "Oh, these are similar winters." There's a big eye roll that happens, and they're like, "No, this isn't winter." So we've had some tough ones.
Yeah, and here now you wake up in the morning. And you have this is oyster.
I don't know if these cameras are going to look out there now, but when you put this together, this view is phenomenal. So yeah,
I'm glad. So how did you get into the industry of real estate?
We're jumping there.
We're going to jump right in there because because you had actually a very interesting upcoming. Like from the prairies, you were a long time in the restaurant industry.
Yeah. See, this is unfair for all of your watching, right? Mario knows of me, and his wife has known me for a long time. So these are all set up questions
now. You're gonna run right into this.
Yeah. So we have a history, and he's got an amazing wife, Toby, who's known me for a long time. And so when he says the restaurant industry, I was in it for a long time, and it was it started off as a vocation for me to help pay my way through school. Actually, as a teenager, right? Remember when teens actually had jobs, right? Yeah. I mean,
so you're that old.
I'm that old. I'm part of the generation where if you wanted money, you went and worked, and that probably started for me at about 12 years of age with a newspaper route, and then the restaurant business as a waiter, busboy, dishwasher, doing it all. And then I realized really quickly that I wasn't a good employee. I think I'd be a better boss and employer. But I'll get to that in a second. So, grew up in the prairies. Edmonton were all my sort of formative years. And
did you play hockey?
Yeah, that's what you do. Yes, I play.
Because you have nothing else to do.
You play hockey, right? Yeah, you played hockey. You maybe ice fished. I never took to ice fishing, by the way. Never understood ice fishing. No. So yes, hockey. I was a traditional Canadian boy, right? Wanted a truck and played hockey, right? And had a mullet, right?
Oh, God. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I did run into you, and you did have a little. Your hair was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Mullet-like. Your beard was horrible. Horrible. It was. I was like, Jay, look at this beautiful face of yours, and you're hiding it behind that beard.
When you set up us doing this talk, I knew you were going to bring up the beard.
Course.
We ran into each other at a party recently, and I just come off hiking the West Coast Trail.
And you looked like rough.
And but months prior, I'd stopped shaving, so I had this beard. So if we eventually get back to me answer this question, we may get lost, by the way, you and I. So anyone watching this is like, to these two, can they stick to a topic?
It's like, well, you are actually no. It's tough for me because I'm pretty sure I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I am. And you are. Well, I don't know if you are.
I've got ADD for sure. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It lends well to my careers, by the way.
I think so. Actually, being multi, like you need to be talented and picking up.
It's a superpower, right? ADD is a superpower.
I actually think so because it allows us to do multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
We might not focus on it.
We have to stick to the course. I've got a really good business partner, and we'll talk to that in a second, who actually keeps me on track because I am throwing a whole bunch of business stuff, and I've got us moving a whole bunch of directions. But we'll go there in a second.
I'm going to hold you on that one because Bree, I met.
Yes, she's amazing.
Just at the beginning when she started her career.
Yeah.
Wonderful woman.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So
what I found was on her was fascinating was that she her looks a little bit unique to her own.
Yeah.
With short hair, but it really suits her. She's really eager. She's a very smart woman.
Very smart.
And as far as I remember last time, I think she just got divorced back then. Did she or did she?
I don't think that she would give me permission to talk about her personal life. There are a lot of people that are very private. She's one of them, but she is. But Yes, but I think she's been single for years, but maybe officially divorced for a long time. But yeah. She's unbelievably talented, and she keeps the ADD in me, right, from a business perspective, right, just in line. And then I entertain her because I'm constantly bringing new business and ideas, and I'm big thinker, and so that comes to us. But if we don't come back, I'm going to forget the original question. So the original question was,
how did you get into this?
How did I get into real estate? Okay, so if you're watching, you're like, what the hell are these two up to? Okay, so the restaurant business. Grew up in the prairies. Yes, I played hockey. Yes, I've endured some really long, cold winters, which will lend to why I'm here. And so the restaurant business was really the segue of it's a segue in a way to me being into real estate. So I got into real estate now 8 years ago. But previous to that, I was in the restaurant and bar industry.
Cabana and Exchange back then.
Yeah, and I had the living room in Calgary, and then I did a vintage chop house in Calgary, and then I had a restaurant. This will be a topic for sure, in the Cayman Islands. I lived there for 7 years.
What?
Yeah.
In the Cayman Islands?
In the Cayman Islands. This is my love for this weather here. So I started a restaurant concept called Bed, and all the waiters wore pajamas. And you would be able to say to your friends...
I don't even want to talk to you.
Do you want to go to bed tonight, Mario?
Well, I do, but I don't want to eat in a... And before we came on here, we talked about the dress code, actually.
Yeah, we did.
And wow.
There was a dress code. All the waiters wore silk pajamas, and you actually came into the restaurant, and your waiters are running around in silk pajamas. And the dining room area, it was all like 4-poster beds, right? And throw pillows and everything else. And though you sat up, you looked like you were in a bed. And then the lounge is sort of like the sexier version of the bedroom, right? Is there a sexier version?
Were there hookers too?
He's gonna cut that for sure.
It's like, what happened here?
But it was an amazing way for guys to ask women out, right? By being subtle and saying, hey, do you want to go to bed tonight? And just before they're about to get slapped, right? They're like, the restaurant, Bed Restaurant, right? In Grand Cayman. So we had a lot of fun with that concept. So the restaurant industry led to where I'm at now 8 years later. But so one of my stops, we just covered a few topics. We got where I used to live as well. So.
You know what I actually find, especially like in the real estate world, I find when you come from a hospitality world, you are much better at, in my opinion, being a realtor, because it's more about the relationship, it's more about the service towards the client than it is about making money and commission, and I want to have that check, and I want to have that check. No, which unfortunately a lot of realtors probably have that reputation. But being in the service world where you're from, you approach it very differently.
Well, you know, I'm with a firm right now, Stillhaven, and a little plug for the firm that I work with. I'd spent 6 or so years with Royal LePage, which was a great firm to start with.
They provide great services.
Great service and lots of education. Stillhaven sort of prides himself on service, and so you touched on, it's a service-based industry, real estate. It is not about us walking around telling how many awards we got or how many sales we have. Those are hopefully what come out of you being a service-based business, and I'm my own business. And I interviewed for my position, my real estate position at Stillhaven, where you interview for. They're selective about who they take on. And the ownership, when they listened to me, like, great, you've got a great track record. You sell a lot of real estate. You've got great reviews. You're a member of our community. You've been here.
You look good on camera.
I look good on camera. Okay, good. It's lighting. Yeah. I don't know how good our lighting is here, but I'm hoping it's good. There's something absolutely about the industry, about looking shiny and nice, and that's a little bit of the sad part about many industries, but it is part of life at times.
It is, whether you like it or not.
So put yourself together right, and it does open a few more doors. But in the end, really, it's about how you deliver and how you show up authentically and the relationship you have with clients. So, someone's looks may get them a second chance to present their offerings in business, but most people are astute enough to sit there and go, okay, great.
What I've heard of you in the community has nothing but great.
Okay.
And even yesterday when I sent you the picture, I'm sitting down with one of your clients, which at the time I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we're talking about her property and oh, my realtor is amazing and blah blah blah. And then next thing you know, it's Jay, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna see him tomorrow.
Yeah.
it speaks for yourself, like how well regarded you are in the community.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. So,
trust me, if it would be shitty, I would tell you that too.
For all those that know Mario, right? He holds no punches.
He was like as raw as it gets.
And he has stood in front of me while we were both having a glass of wine one time and said, "You look like shit," right? I didn't even beat that out or not, right? And I was like, "I do, right? You have this beard thing you have looks like shit." So yeah, Mario will shoot from the hip, which is what everyone endears to you about. Okay, well, the service industry, Stillhaven, they interview me, right? Sort of, and again, giving me some credit for the 6 so years I did at Royal LePage. They're like, tell us about yourself. And I led into me in the service industry and owning and running restaurants, and from every position in the restaurant business. By the way, ownership is where you sort of ended off, right? It's probably the most glamorous position, but not the one that taught me how to get through it. And that was really what endeared the ownership to having me come on to this firm. They're like, wow, you are someone that would be relationship-based rather than transactional-based with our real estate firm. And for them building their brand in Kelowna, though they're well-established in Vancouver and Whistler, they're like, we want someone who's part of the community, right, that people respect, right, and it isn't just sitting there going, okay, great, here's my awards, and here I am putting myself on a park bench, and here I am, those are great. We have to market ourselves. But what is your relationship with this community and your clients? And I'm like, no, it's about relationships with everybody. And really, I have some transactions with clients. They're like, who are doing all business. It's strictly transactional. I'm happy to do those, but they do not satisfy a part of me as much as when I get to have a relationship and learn something, right?
It's short-lived.
It's short-lived. They probably don't talk about it. I don't look at the outcome of it. I'm just saying, for me as a person, it suits me. It makes me feel like I'm in the right career. Yeah. I get to nurture that part of me, right? One of the things that someone says, well, who do you specialize? Who are your clients? And I'm taking questions from him, by the way.
But this is good.
But it has to suit my life. So I'm like, okay, who are my clients? I'm like, oh, it's a pretty eclectic thing. I have some business people, or someone who's selling a raw piece of land. But one of the areas that I thought I hit a lot, and probably do it compassionately, is people going through divorce or separation. And it's what are the most stressful moments of your life, right? Yeah. Moving, right? Divorce, right? Death.
Like fight amongst one another. You don't want to, that's hard.
So I'm walking into a home that is probably dealing with 2 or 3 of the most stressful moments of their lives, right? There's a division of assets and maybe a divorce or separation, right? There's a move involved right here, right? So here I walk into someone's home, and if I just, go ahead.
Is that stems from you growing up with a single mother?
Yeah. Well, you did your homework.
I did.
No, you do know this. It absolutely does. Yeah. No. I have an amazing mom, and I grew up with a mom that played 2 roles as a dad and a mom. And I get a little bit choky about it because I'm like, what a great woman. So I had this really amazing influencer in my life, which was my mom, who played 2 roles. But I also grew up in a time where there wasn't a lot of divorces, and I was in a community that didn't see a lot. So everyone had double.
That must have been a big.
So that was but it learned me.
What did you learn?
Humility, right? And boy, there's a lot. We would have to do another interview to talk about all the things I learned from growing up as a single parent household. But what it's taught me now is I walk in homes, and I have my own divorce, right? So I've got.
And I'm a single dad when I'm in Victoria with my kids, right? So I got 4. You got 2, right? Two kids. Yeah,
17 and 21.
Yeah.
So
I can only speak because I know your son, Liam.
Yeah.
What a great job you did there, and I'm sure it goes to his mom.
Oh, absolutely! He's got an amazing mom.
That is a 2-way street. Yeah, but when he came to my house with he started his own business. We had a business conversation. He was very entrepreneurial, looking for the return of investment and how can he utilize the magazine well. I'm like, holy shit, man! You're your dad's son. This is awesome. Yeah. Very smart boy.
Very motivated. He's motivated. Yeah, that one. He's gonna run. He's gonna run into this world with full force. Yeah. But back to me with the client that is maybe going through this divorce or separation, division of assets, my childhood, which we've kind of touched on, me and my own divorce and separation, right? And partaking in, I know someone say, oh, I'm a single parent, or I'm like, there's no single parenting. They've got a great mom who does a lot of parenting in this, right? So when I say I'm a single parent dad, that probably isn't well phrased, but I have a part of parenting, right, that is done on my own with my kids. So when I walk into a home that is going through this situation, I mean, there is tension, there's and so just me having my own experiences and having empathy and compassion and sitting with someone going through this sort of thing, it instantly shows these people that I'm standing in front of, and I don't always know them. A lot of times they're referrals, right? And I'm probably getting referred, they're like, hey, I know Jay. He's honest. He's been through his own part of life. He's not going to come in and judge you, right? He understands the fairness of this and the difficulty of this transaction. So I'm in their home, by a referral, or I'm interviewing like other agents and coming in and instantly they're like, okay, here's what we're going through. I'm like, how about I tell you what I've been through? Just to at least
understand.
Create a baseline for us to sort of say, look, and I understand the difficulty here. This is not just transaction. I'm going to handle this with you as people, not as a transaction. So that is...
It is tough because, like, I got to say, showing empathy, like, I'm not a particularly empathetic person.
I think you've got it in you. Come on.
I got it in me. That doesn't mean I show it all the time. But like it is. But I think it's also like being culturally, being Germany. There's certain things I don't know.
I'm not running off on the German stereotypes right now because I am. Okay, because you can.
we can. Well, it's actually funny because I'm even here with Jake, who's looking after this amazing video.
Yeah, thanks, Jake.
And he's from the Ukraine, and like conversations we're having, they're just very direct. You can say things without offending.
Yeah.
In Canada,
we're sensitive.
You are, oh my God. I feel like I have to walk around with tissue boxes in my hand to make sure that people start crying. Here we go. Cry it out.
It'd be really good followership if you got all of your interviewees, right, to cry, right? If that was part of your whole...
I actually did that.
Well,
first of all, you almost cried.
I did, yeah. I talked about my mom.
About your mom, and actually I did that unintentionally. I interviewed, it was two brothers, and they were builders, actually here in Kelowna.
I know them. Great guys.
I took a quote out of their dad, because they admired their dad, and I took a quote of what he said. Actually, the tougher one from both of them ended up crying. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Yeah. But like it was very emotional, and I love that. And this is one of the reasons why I like talking to people I actually like. I hate talking to people I don't like. I prefer not to do that anyways. Which is tough in my world, because who wants to, deal with assholes at the end of the day? And you're in the same world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you had your fair share of clients where you were like, nah, I think we're good.
I can be, at this stage in my career, I can be discerning. I'm going to use that word. So, I like to see the good in everybody. So, and then there is, I do believe that. So, call it naive, but I think
I was going to say, I think that is a bit of naive.
Yeah, because it could be, but I
love it that you do that.
I need to do that. Yeah. Like, I need to do that. But I have had a few clients over the years. I'm like, this isn't a fit, not for you or I. Yeah. And so, and you're not a fit for everybody. You know what? I don't get a Christmas card from everybody. I'm not everyone's best friend. I mean, I may be likable, but I'm not everyone's cup of tea. So, which is okay. You also get to an age.
That makes two of us. Yeah,
right, you're right. But this, maybe it's the anti-Canadian me. I'm like, I'm okay with that. I don't need to be liked by everyone. We talked earlier before the camera's rolling about people pleasing, right? Because we were talking in the restaurant business.
And you said that you were a bit of a people pleaser.
I have got that to probably to a fault. And, after doing some work on myself, I found out where that was rooted. And I was like, okay, great. Now when I'm out, and has been for a long time, and someone said, oh, you're people pleasing. I'm like, no, I'm really authentically enjoying this part. Like, I'm doing this authentically, and I'm not doing this to get some reward or to be liked. And there has been times where I've done that. I'm like, I just want to be liked by everybody. Please don't not like me. Please don't not like me.
I actually think that's the Aries in you.
Yeah. Oh, bring it on, Aries. He's good.
March 25th. Yes, I do.
Yeah, right. Okay, okay. Geraldo has done his work here.
Sarah Jessica Parker, I think, she was one too.
Howard Cosell? Sarah Jessica. I like Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah.
So, but they also like, I was married to an Aries, and same thing. She likes pleasing people.
Yeah.
You know, it is rightfully or wrong, it's irrelevant. But you are who you are.
Okay.
Like it's a beautiful thing.
I'm going to bring up my daughter, who's also an Aries. I don't think she falls into the category of people pleasing. Now, it might be because she's 17 right now, but she's got a huge heart.
That might be a little, She
has a huge heart, so I mean, maybe that'll come up, but not to a fault.
Aries, my ex-wife, huge heart. Yeah. But this is I find actually, since we're now at horoscopes, I found with Aries, they always like to help people.
In this case, I've been helped
despite the fact they weren't asked.
Right.
They help. Well, I'm saying they. I'm generalizing it. I can only speak for my ex-wife. She always wanted to help people, yet the people actually didn't want her help.
Right.
So there was I know that with her own family. So I don't know if that's with your daughter too.
Well, I think, and I'm going to speak for me because she'll probably end up watching this and be like just mortified that I'm talking about her. Yeah, why are you talking about me on camera?
Well, I'm sure she has social media. She talks about you too.
Probably not, but like not because she doesn't love me, but I do follow her. Yeah. But she has other accounts that I don't get to follow, and I have friends that have shown me that, and I'm like, oh God,
why did you do that?
Yeah.
Parenthood, eh? I'm far away from that because your daughter's 17.
17.
Yeah, my turning 17 actually. So
yeah,
and trust me, I had my fair share of weird shit happen too.
Well, but you're in a household. You've seen teenage girls go through, so
it's not fun.
We're not, as dads, we're sometimes just not equipped.
No, because we don't, no. Like, that's why this is why I think it's very hard for single family households, period, to manage that. Because a guy can't relate to certain feelings, hormonal, by nature. And the other way around too. Everybody plays their part.
Yeah.
And my kids get great things for their mom that they're getting, and I get great things they get from me.
Yeah.
Like, so it's.
But then when you're in a divided household, they're getting them independent of each other. There's not that sometimes, and there are some households that do really well, where they're unified sort of in their parenting, right? So and children learn the art of manipulation and creating their own environments, and it's a skill. Honestly, I think it is a skill. They're going to all become really good negotiators.
Oh my God! You know what? I actually just experienced it. So my stepdaughter is moving out, and initially she started dating this boy. He's a nice boy, all good. And all of a sudden, my wife comes to me and she says, "Oh yeah, he wants to stay over." I'm like, "Excuse me? No. Why the hell is he gonna come stay over?" Anyways, long story short, the parts were played that he ended up staying over. Next thing you know, it's almost 2 fucking months later, and he's still in my house. They're moving out now, but it was like, and we actually had this conversation yesterday where even my wife was saying, like, how did that even happen? But manipulation, playing, doing the cute, next thing you know, it's 2 months later. From not at all to 2 months later living there. That was pretty crazy.
I did that to my mom, actually. One of my
did,
first girlfriends. Yeah, next thing you know, she's living with my very first girlfriend. And I'm sure my mom would sit there and go, how did this happen here? What did he do? So you learn charming at a young age. It's a skill.
And you are a charming man.
I learned that apparently.
I did. You know what? When we were at that party.
Yeah.
That was a great concert, by the way. Libby, Libby is an amazing singer. But anyway,
you get to see In Stereo and Libby and her band.
She is stunning.
There's a plug.
And you like I saw you like in the distance, and you like walked around, and you were so engaging with everybody and smiling, and your handsome fellow, the girl going. But you do stuff that I can't.
Yeah.
I did not want to talk to anybody, ideally, and I mean I did for the people that I like again. Yeah. But overall, you are who you are. Very charming, very smart, very good. Like it was you're very authentic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if that isn't me being authentic, it doesn't happen. I will stay at home, or I'll just sit with my core group of friends. Like, I'm not going to run out and just be like I'm trying to get electoral votes or something like that and work a room. which is what it looks like, I think, from the outside. I know the party he's talking about. I just finished, like I said, doing the West Coast Trail. So I've been isolated also for a week.
Oh, so you were like, civilization, hello!
And I was there for the food, because dehydrated food for a week after it lost its charm. But we're talking about this party of the friends, and I walked in, and sometimes it fills my cup. I know that phrase gets used a lot right now. It fills me. But I really do get something from it. And really, if you're watching that, like, I genuinely was like, some people I hadn't seen for years, and I was like, oh, wow, how are you doing? And it really works for me. It's not an all the time thing. And I don't go out and I'm not doing it forcefully. It has to work for me, and I want to do it. And of course, back to the restaurant business, like, I was doing this 7 days a week where it just became a job.
Yeah.
And yes, I enjoyed it, and people come to my restaurant, and I was loving that, and I was thankful for them, and I'd be running the restaurant and busting the tables and enjoying. And then after a while, I was like, this isn't me every time, all the time. So thus, one of the many reasons
why you get out of it.
Well, I got out of it. I was like, okay, great. I want to do this genuinely and be authentic, and now connect with people on that level. So,
but now you're in a world where you can, like, if you feel shitty, you just don't talk to people.
I get in front of when you walk to my house, there's an office there with my computer. I sit in front of that screen, and I find ways to do data and analytics and reports, and I check out of people, and I'll listen to music and do the things that all of us do at home. Like, what do you do to, like, just ground yourself and be you?
Very important.
And I have my things. Like, when you came in here, they had to move my living room around a bit, by the way.
I know that, actually.
But
I actually asked you if you had some sex toys.
He thought they were sex toys. But what's on the ground? There was a yoga mat and a rolling out ball and a Shakti mat, right? These were items that I use, right? Like, habitually, right, to start my day, to ground myself. I go sit and have a coffee.
To manage age.
Oh, yes, okay, right. Yeah, I was getting all holistic with it. He actually looked at this vibrating roller, and he's like, what sex toy is this, right? What sex toy is this, huh? And I'm like, actually, it's a foam vibrating roller for a really bad hip. So, which you could get a bad hip from having sex, right? But that wasn't what it was for. That was just from just being my age. So,
and playing hard hockey, I guess.
Yeah, and hockey, and just being, sure, sports in general, and still trying to sort of...
Do you still play hockey?
I don't play hockey.
You don't,
yeah. Lots of other hobbies.
You surf, right? Like, you surf?
Like, do I surf? I'm not a surfer. Like, I lived on a Caribbean island that, by the way, for time...
You must have done something there.
There was no surfing there. Just, it was great for diving. So I did a lot of diving there. That was a sport that everyone did. But no, I've got a road bike, and I like... Playing
well, you look like you're fit,
I do the physical activity. At first it was sort of a vanity-ridden sort of thing. I gotta stay young. I want to look young, right? Okay, great.
Well, you look young.
Thanks. Yeah.
You're what, 50?
73, but yeah. So if you lie about your age and say you're older than you actually are, everyone says you look amazing for your age.
Yeah, but you
I'm 54 though.
54. So you can only say that when you actually do look great for your age. Like, I'm 44.
You look great.
I look like 50.
No,
I would be like, nah.
Okay.
Wait until I'm 54.
We're going to give each other a whole bunch of male compliments here, so we feel good about ourselves.
It works for the ego.
Yeah, it's good for the ego.
At the end of the day.
I don't know if there was a question there. Now I'm all like blushy from the compliment. What was it? Was there a question in there at all?
There was no question.
Okay, just some statement.
That was just a statement.
Okay, good. I like that.
But you know what?
So two people with ADD and ADHD doing an interview together, like, good luck following along, people. Yeah.
Well, I know of you for so long.
Yeah.
And because you are very good friends with Joe.
Yes. Oh, bless Joe.
I love him. Actually, we're going out on the weekend.
Are you? Okay.
To some concert that I actually don't think I want to go to, but I'm going anyway.
Oh, you're people pleasing.
No.
Mario's people pleasing.
Wife.
Oh, that's different. That is a whole different category.
That is a very, very different thing. But anyways, I'm going out, and I haven't seen Joe in forever. Yeah. So I look forward actually to see him. But so your name always comes up. He's like, I think there was a time actually Joe told me, you guys went boating and you went down at Lake Okanagan, wherever that resort was.
Yeah.
And I think you had an all day, and he got pretty shit faced.
Yeah.
And then, so you even remember what?
I don't know what story falls in line with that, but we've caught ourselves on a boat, and I wouldn't even tell everybody who was in the boat here, but did we end up at the tiki bar? Was that the tiki bar? Okay. For anyone watching, I was there once because I think it comes with a little bit of a reputation. It was one time, and Joe and I were these two old men at the tiki bar. And the average age was about 22, and I think if you took all the clothing of bathing suits around, you could probably crump it up into a ball this small, because that's how small the suits were, right?
Oh my God.
So here, Joe and I are at the tiki bar, like just a couple old men. We're like the two old dudes on the Muppets in the balcony, right?
Yeah,
That was us two sitting there going, okay, yeah. And I think maybe one of our sons showed up on a boat too and was mortified that we were there.
That was unbelievable. I think he whether was at my house then the day off or the day after.
Gotcha.
So, but like, anyways, because of Joe, like, there's always stuff where you showed up in, and then even yesterday. So, anybody knowing you has nothing but good things to say.
Okay.
And I can't say that like, being in this town for so long, for 8 years now, there are names that I hear. There's not people speak nicely, but when it comes to you, virtually, I've never heard anybody saying anything negative.
Okay. Well, that's...
You sound surprised.
No, I guess what I want to do is I want to check in with me and say, do I need to feel or hear that everyone likes me, or, that I'm liked by everybody? And so,
I don't care, but I'm just saying that is a nice thing. Like,
I was having my own moment with that statement. I was like, okay.
Do you need a minute?
Well, it's like, do I care? And because part of that whole idea about being a pleaser, being liked by everybody, I was just having my own little check in there. So that's wonderful. I would say this, I wrote a couple things down that I thought if I wanted to touch base on some things with you in this interview, and I said when you came in, I said, I want to just be real. I watch so much social media out there, and I have 2 kids that are engulfed in it, more so, my daughter, but lots of people, and adults too. And it's all with the shiny, glitzy, our beautiful, our most, amazing sides, and how everything's going our way. And I was like, So I kind of thought, I want to show up with you, Mario, and you would call my shit out too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to just be real. Like, I just want to, we're going to have fun. And what you're seeing of me with Mario is real. I love to have fun and laugh and have a good time. But when you gave me that compliment, or there was a compliment said about, everyone likes you, I was like, okay, so what do they like? And I hope that I did I did an interview when I first started doing real estate, and I watched the video a while ago. And I was at a costume shop, and I was having a great time, and I was being this, and I was like, and he kind of asked me the same question. He's not as good at interview as you, right? He's not a journalist, but I was like, he goes, what makes you different than other realtors? And I'm like, and I laughed, and I was curious, and I said, because I'm humble, right? And I giggled about this, right? And then today, as I was sitting here before I got to do this thought with this interview, I was watching that interview, and I say, that is probably the least humble thing I could say, is that I am humble, right? And then I thought, that same word is actually what I am. I've been humbled. And so when you say, by life, we could touch on a few things that have humbled me.
Who humbled you?
Listen, for all those who have been through a divorce, that is a humbling experience. Like, that is really, all of a sudden dividing up kids, right?
I guess I didn't learn the first time, so I had to have a second one.
Oh, you got an amazing wife now, so you're doing great. I do. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Toby. So, but I've been humbled. I'm not humble, because that sounds really the opposite of being humbled. So I wrote that down. I have very small notes. I had like 3 little sentences, and I'm like, I've been humbled. I have lost businesses. I have failed at business. I have failed at marriages. I failed in many romantic relationships.
Yeah. Did you go to therapy?
I've done therapy. I still do therapy, right?
Good for you.
Yeah. I really began to enjoy doing work on myself. And I remember the first time I started doing it, and there's some amazing friends and partners in my life that have sort of inspired that out of me. And I was sort of embarrassed about it. And now I really embrace the fact that I'm working on myself. And that sort of, so when you say, people like you, even though they don't know me, right? And not everyone likes me, I don't say that. But I think it's probably, if I'm likable, is because I've been humbled. And I think anyone walking around with any false sense of bravado or maybe uncomfortable in their own skin, right? Because you're comfortable in your own skin. I see that in you. Like, this is you, right? This is not an act, right? This is Mario doesn't give a shit whether you like him or not, right? So for someone who's actually a people pleaser doing that, it sometimes isn't authentic. So I just began working myself to kind of become authentic with me. And so any likability is probably because someone says, listen, the guy is, you know, he cares and he's been humbled, right? Like, I have no problem sitting down. I could talk about all these restaurants I owned and how many awards I've gotten in real estate and this great place and all this. I'm like, yeah, but at the root of me is, again, a failed marriage, right? I have lost everything. I've lost every dollar. I've been there, like, literally on the doorstep of bankruptcy, right?
But doesn't that speak for you, like how resilient you are? Like, getting knocked down, getting back up, getting knocked down, getting back up. That's a great trait to have.
It's exhausting too. Yes, it is.
Well, at 54, I'm sure you don't want to fucking do it all over again.
I don't.
But like at the end of the day, you learned your lesson. You were humbled, but you got up again and you showed up. And that's the majority. That's a half of the battle. Just showing up and keep going. That is brilliant.
Yeah,
and looking back and saying, hey, you know, this is where I was. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And look at what you did. Like,
well, and you touched on my son, and a few lessons that they actually sit and listen to their dad, and I'm like, and they've seen it, they watched me as, you know, sort of like the near bankruptcy and divorce all kind of come in the same sort of time with a failed business. But as they got older and they got to listen to the story of me, was they're like, look at you, like, I'm happy. And they're like, we see you happy. I said, I'm happy, but it wasn't because of success of business. I'm actually more proud of, like you just said, being down and working myself up. And there is working yourself up from a business perspective, and then there's working yourself up from a personal, spiritual place too. And so whenever they want to listen, I talk about those things in life. And I said, because at some point in time, you get knocked down. Maybe it's a heartache, maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's business, maybe it's illness. You know, to know that if I'm a mentor or role model to them, that they're like, okay, wait, our dad did that. And we remember that with him. And he just kept working on himself, right? And they would not say their dad's a perfect human being, by the way. They know all the scarring of their dad. And that comes from my mom, right? Yeah. So I, generationally, I'm going to hopefully hand that down. And if it wasn't...
You did.
I am.
You don't even have to hope for it. You did.
I am doing it.
Because your kids are old enough. And you know, this is what you've learned from your mother, and it inspired you to look after divorced families and make sure that they're looked after in real estate transactions. Then your kids have learned. Like, there's always a bigger picture that we don't understand in the moment. I would think so. And all of a sudden, you hustle through and you cry and you, like, what are my kids think of me? Well, at the time you feel like a loser. Maybe you were one, but then you punch through it, and then you punch through it, and you became from sitting in the last place to the first place, and our children see that, and it says he was on his knees, but he went through it. What an aspiration to have from a child's point of view, to say, you know what, I want to be like my dad or my mom and go through that. So good for you for actually doing that.
And then the part of that is also me being vulnerable and available while I am in that position of where I'm trying to learn and grow and the sort of the movement up, as you would say, is to show them that you're real. And
absolutely.
And so
there was a time in my life where I was failing left, right, and center, and like, it was at times where I had 4 kids. And then I had the first one, and it was at the shittiest time I could have had a kid. And I'm like, okay, you plow through it. And then I had a second one. That was another shitty time to have a second one. And there was never the perfect time to actually have any of those kids, or be in a position to facilitate living, like provide for them. So man, I was on the ground too, and you just plow through it. And then my kids seen that journey too, and hopefully it continues on. But I'm like you, like, if I get knocked down, I fucking get up again.
Yeah, and here's the lesson.
So,
real, you say it as it is. You're just basically being authentic to Mario and all your story, and that, makes you likable. And I know you'll be like, am I likable? Mario's really likable, by the way. Actually, and I say actually because it makes it sound like he wouldn't be. I'm just saying, like, he's straight shooting. He just shoots right from the hip, and you're like, And that's quite refreshing. And
but it also offends people. Like, it's not everybody's cup of tea either.
Yes.
But again, then I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Pleasing people, you know.
I think and by the way, when some people say, I don't give a shit, I don't care if they like me or not, right? I don't necessarily always believe them. As Mario's saying this to me, like I believe to a core, and it's not, I don't think this because you don't like people. You're like, I'm not here. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm running my operation here, my life. And, you know, I don't think you're out there trying to offend the world. You're like, I'm just going to be me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So,
and funny enough, but then it attracts people into your life that you just get along.
Well, because it's just honest. And we really all want like honest connections with people, right? So to tie this into the real estate part is my clients, like any real estate client, they just want an honest connection with you. They want their agent that is handling the most expensive asset of their lives, whether they're buying or selling. But like, okay, great. Like, I need to trust you that you've got my back and that you are who you say you are.
And I think this is where we're going with it. Like, people that you have dealt with in life trust you.
Yeah.
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 And I think you're going to continue on that path because you want to be a better person. And the only way to do that is by people trusting.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I'm my own motivator of that. So it just happens I happen to reap the benefit I'm in a connecting kind of business with real estate. So, yeah.
So is that going to be the path that you're going to be till retirement? You're going to be...
That's a good question. That's a really good one. Because I'm in this like, we all have our moments in life where we're like, okay, so what else or what next or what can you...
and being in Aries?
Being in Aries, I have some of the things. So I'm constantly looking at other like avenues that involve real estate, right? Because that is a really good vocation for me, and it's great. It puts food on the table for me and my kids, and so there'll be some derivatives of that, right? It's kind of something I'm exploring right now. You know, I'm 8 years into this. I'm still like almost in a wonderment stage of real estate because I really enjoy it. But there's so many avenues you can go into this, right?
Yeah.
So working with developers, and you brought up Joe and some of my friends that really, and so I'm surrounding myself a lot by people that are thinking outside of the traditional real estate box right now. So that's where that comes.
So you want to you still dabble with real estate, like development, maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe a developer. Yeah, you know. But being around those and looking at investing in that and looking at where opportunities lie. So, and I think I need to keep up with my 20-year-old son, who's constantly throwing business ideas. Like he comes in and he is ferocious with stuff. So he's like, "Hey, Dad, come on, we got to look at AI and how this is going to help us and do other business." You know, so I've got this pretty inspiring person that looks up to me, and I feel like I better.
It's good coaching, and you know, this is what
me.
we did with our parents. You know, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like, how often did I have ideas for my parents, or you probably even for your mom? Mom, you should really do this.
Yeah.
And then they may or may not heard, like she wasn't listening to it, and it worked. Yeah. But if you stay in real estate, like at least you do like dabble in it. At least you do what you preach.
Yeah.
You know, like if this is the world, you're gonna like, whether you're a developer, or you're a realtor, or design, you at least stay true to what you enjoy doing
career,
and want to help people, right?
I want to say this. I wrote this down. Real estate has never felt like work. You know, because I got to go to work. I got to go to work. I got to go to work. I've never said
because
that.
you like what you do.
I like it.
It's never in any industry. If you like what you do, it doesn't matter what the work is. Because you enjoy it, and it comes across like that as well.
Yeah,
you know. So again, that was the conversation I had yesterday with your client, and she was just in awe. She was just like, he's amazing, you know, because you love what you do. Although she also said, what did she say? She said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a pain in the ass because every day I'm asking him, okay, what's happened? What's happened? Give me an update.
She calls me and begs for some sort of forgiveness because she's like that. Yeah, you know what? This is.
And I helped you out because I said to her.
Oh, thanks.
I said to her, I was like, if there's nothing to tell, why would he call you?
Yeah.
Like what you want to hear? Well, I at least want to hear. So you want to hear that nothing happened? No.
She does.
Yeah.
She would say, I want to hear nothing happens, and this is why Mario wouldn't be in my line of work, right? Because he's like.
Why would I call you?
What? I have nothing to say. So I thought,
I couldn't.
what, I'm going to call it small talk you, Jay? I'm like, yeah, Mario, just call me. I want you to wake me up in the morning. Just talk about, your feelings today.
Yeah.
Get there?
Yeah, no, find a friend. Goodbye.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is part of the business. And, you get involved with your clients, right? And you know that what their motivation is and the circumstances they're in. And, you have to find a way to separate it. Mm-hmm. But you definitely, you kind of connect with them and you're like, okay, great. In that situation with that client, it would mean a lot to move on from this. It's I can't learn too much about the personal parts of it, but there's a long, painful history for this property with her family and her kids, and she's single parenting them, and so it's more than a transaction. It means a lot to
and you could tell that it is a very emotional job to her. I gotta put her up here, because she keeps begging here.
Yeah,
what's her name again?
Lexi.
Yeah, she just constantly walks around us, is saying hi, and wants some attention. Do you want to be a star?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a star?